10-year look conversation on August the 13th, 2009 remembered the action of taking down those 5 big commercial banks. My panel here and colleagues discussing this is Simeon Ibulu, or the group business editor at the Nation newspaper, and Ray Echebere, who's still a business journalist, but now the CEO of the Center for Financial Journalism. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Ray, you were drilling down into what happened and the causes of the problem as the then central bank chief outlined them. Simeon, what are your thoughts regarding the evolution of the banking sector since 10 years ago? Very instructive to note that after August, by October 2nd, 3 other banks also got another hammer. And then, since then, we've seen a few more other banks taken over by the financial regulator.
Thank you very much. If you look at the banking sector globally, these challenges are not limited to one country. You know, they've happened in the US. Greece, one of the earliest civilized countries, is now a bankrupt state with their banks in comatose. It's not per se limited to Nigeria. So it's not a country-wide issue, it's a systemic thing, you know. And part of what, you know, one will look at right now is the regulatory aspect of the system. You know, the Nigerian business environment, as we've seen it, keeps responding to all kinds of challenges, some internal, some external. And the government is not waiting for a perfect environment to act. So in between the undulating environmental changes, the government is falling back on the banking system to fund some of these, you know, sectors so that the economy can be turned around. And the banks can't say because of the uncertainties, we will not, lend or support, you know, the economy. So you can see, even after the Sanusi's intervention, it didn't end there. 3 other banks followed. And even under the present dispensation, some of these issues are still trending. Look at what the power sector has led some of these banks into. So what is required, actually, is not to engage in blame games. It's to continuously engage the system, reform it, and pull it, you know, out of the current challenges. And that is what I think the current, you know, CBN leadership is doing. You need to continuously advance credit.
It is very interesting that when the then central bank chief, Lamido Sanusi, spoke on February the 26th, 2010, at a public lecture at one of the universities, one of the first things, in fact, the first item he listed on what went wrong and where he took the action of August 13th was macroeconomic instability.
Yes.
Ray, do you think that the Emir Sanusi actually back then properly situated the issue within the broad macroeconomic instability of the country as a whole? I think because Simeon looks like he's saying, look, the banks are just part of the system.
Yeah, absolutely. They are part of the system. They operate within the system. Yeah. If the economy is not doing well, the banks won't do well. There's no way they can do well when the economy is down. You recall that during then, the Nigerian economy was down. The oil prices went down. And of course, people that borrowed money, companies that borrowed money from the banks were not able to pay. So how were the banks going to survive it? Were they going to mint their own money? No way.
So what happened was that AMCON was born on July 2010, I think the first week of 2010. Initial 10-year lifespan for the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria to clean the mess in the banking industry. That was the original idea. Yes. And the initial non-performing loans that you took on was about 4 trillion naira. The value of that, the price value of about 1.76 trillion naira. Today, AMCON is looking at about
5 plus.
5
trillion.
5 plus trillion.
Yeah, 5 trillion.
Yeah.
So
5 trillion.
The actions of Lamido Sanusi on August 13 was to be a corrective measure to reposition the banking industry and clean it up.
Yeah.
But Was that cleaning exercise successful? And what are the lessons we've learned from there, Simeon?
Yeah, that's the point I was trying to make.
Because some folks have told me, they say, look, some of those guys who are still working free today, and I haven't been able to use the amended Failed Bank Act to deal properly cleaning up that system.
That is the challenge that we have. And that is why I'm advocating that we should look beyond a particular sector, the banking sector, and take a holistic, view of what actually constitutes, the nitty-gritty of this nation.
The distress.
Yes, in this nation. Look at AMCON, well thought out, SPV. Today, AMCON is holding on to more debts than it started with 10 years
beating
ago.
Beating more than what it can achieve.
Yes, you understand. And when you look at it, at inception, it was supposed to be a cleanup exercise over a period of time. By the time the lifespan of AMCON was supposed to expire, this debt will have been phased out. Then the banks will have been re-energized to continue
which is technically next year. In fact, by this time next year, AMCON 1.0 should be over.
Right. Over.
Right.
But
which is July 2020.
Yes. But look at it. If AMCON goes, what has he achieved? Absolutely nothing.
Not much.
Not much,
No,
but
I didn't think I would say, I will agree with you here totally, that AMCON hasn't achieved much. You know what AMCON has done is that AMCON has been able to take all those non-performing loans from the banks at that time. But you know what has happened again? They started accumulating new ones.
Yes,
more
non-performing
So
loans.
what it means that if you had left the banks with that huge non-performing loan at that time, probably a number of them would have gone under by now.
But the initial non-performing loans, AMCON had not been able to dispose them off into the market.
No, that's a totally different problem altogether.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is that if AMCON didn't act the time it did, if AMCON didn't take those non-performing loans from the banks at the time it did, a number of the banks we are looking at today wouldn't be seeing them. That's the truth. AMCON intervened at the right time. But these are not, like he said too, Simeon said, I agree with him. These are ongoing. This challenge is not one, you solve it today and that's the end. No. These challenges will continue to come up now and then.
So that means that everybody should be put on edge.
Now what we've done and what was done 10 years ago alongside, or which was started by Chukwuma Soludo's administration, 2004-2005 Consolidation Program, was to reposition the Nigerian banking industry, make them bigger, make them international, and what have you. So it was universal banking.
Right.
Then we came in and dismantled universal banking. And then what exactly are we doing now? We'll recategorize and all of that. Do you think this evolution, this continuous re-engineering has actually positioned the banking, like you said, the non-performing loans problems, the insider abuse still remain? What's your take on that, Simeon?
Yes. I would say that progress is being made. There's no doubt about that. It's not an end in itself. A step you take today will be moderated by events as you go forward, which is what is, propelling the CBN as of today to keep churning out all kinds of regulations, policies, to guide the banks, to ensure that they work within a band that can keep the system, stable, that can help to reflate the economy. That's why you have all of these intervention, funds going to all the sectors of the economy. The issue really is how can we re-engineer the nation's economy so that all of the sectors will be contributing. Not that everyone will be taking a drain from just one sector. This one takes and disappears. That one takes and disappears.
Which is the banking sector.
Yes. Unless and until the economy is well position, balance,
and generate its own cash.
Yeah, cash to contribute.
Everybody going to the banks where the cash is.
Exactly.
Because it looks like the only part of the system that has liquidity, with the exception of perhaps the National Assembly and others. And where there's money. There's no money anywhere.
And Pencom.
And Pencom.
Yeah, you understand.
No, that's pensions. I don't go there, as Ray will say.
Yes.
But again, part of the issues that folks still, and I will put this out over the last 24, 48 hours, folks still worried about the fact that there is no closure yet on some of the big names and the big debtors that were involved in the matters of August 13, 2009, Ray. This is the problem here. So, because we've kind of taken the Failed Bank Act and give it the powers now to Federal High Court or whatever to deal with this issue. A few of those bank CEOs are still being prosecuted, but it looks like 10 years is becoming a long time. NDIC is still trying to pay back some of the liquidation, dividend, whatever, to depositors. I took a look. It's still a very long list.
Yeah, it is. And I am not seeing any end to that issue. You've been prosecuting some people for 10 years, and we're not seeing any result. So maybe they just find a way of settle the thing amicably and get these people whatever you have, or anyhow you're going to pay back whatever you have you got illegally from the banking system. Please return.
Do you think that this administration, President Buhari's administration, should take a very special look into this banking sector, non-performing loans or bad loans, so that we can clean up the last 10 years in a matter of speaking? Because if you look at the AMCON, it's still a huge amount of money there. The depositors' money is still there.
It's important that the administration does that. It's very, very important, because if we... You see, what is happening now is that we have so much of that non-performing loans around again. Some banks, if not that the CBN has been very strict when it comes to loan loss provisioning, some of them would have also been declaring huge profits and giving such to the shareholders. And sometime, someday, they discover that they really don't have anything. They just are empty shells. And it will just happen suddenly. Boom.
Boom, yes. I like to come in here.
And they just go under. A number of the banks, do you know, I don't want to mention the names. Do you know that some have, their provision is up to 200 billion.
Simeon.
One bank, 200 billion.
As we speak.
Loan loss provision.
As we speak.
Yeah, as we speak.
Simeon.
Yeah. You see, what I want to add is, no matter how good, laws are, no matter how,
well crafted.
Crafted. If there is no enforcement, everybody will virtually break the law.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
The CBN has, as much as possible, tried to do the regulation, but they can't be the ones to do the legal, they can't play the role of courts, of the courts.
Or the EFCC, or the ICPC.
Yes. No. What is needed is let the courts stand up to their responsibilities. It is absolutely wrong. It's never replicated anywhere in the world that you prosecute somebody over a matter for over 10 years. By the time you arrive at the judgment, the issues have been completely gone out of context.
Almost evaporated.
Yes, look at the stock market crash of 2008. Those that were involved in the US and other countries, it took them 6 months for the cases to be prosecuted and concluded, and sentences were meted out.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
If we don't apply that kind of system here, why is it that in Nigeria?
There's a problem here, because even in the US, if you look at the financial crisis for the securities market, well, perhaps a bit straightforward, some of the bank executives are still walking around because it becomes very difficult to deal with. But we need to deal with it, as you say. But do you think over the last 10 years we've seen a stronger central bank and NDIC? Ray?
Yes. I can say that. I can say that any day. We have a stronger central bank now. We have a stronger NDIC now, because they've been able to get qualified hands, very solid hands.
And perhaps they've learned their lessons.
Because
the central bank itself got bombed in 2009.
Because the central bank, both the central bank and NDIC, we are trailing behind the banks.
Back
in terms of back then, in terms of knowledge, in terms of technology, in terms of everything, expertise. But now, you have
some bank CEOs then felt, or chairman felt they are bigger than the central bank governor.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's the truth.
Absolutely.
That was the
yes.
They were bigger than central bank
and then
governor.
they could call them when they come for this to say, "Hi guys, can we take you out for lunch? Give you good lunch, give you good money and all that." But the good thing now is that
the central bank is
solid,
leading. Yes.
Very solid. NDIC very solid, and they are doing their job. And what they have done is that they've shared the banks, between central bank and NDIC. Auditing now and then. They audit these banks. And
stress test.
Yeah, stress test and all that and all that. I think it's only a rare occasion that they now do a joint audit. So what it means is that every year they're able to cover all the banks.
1 minute before we take this break, Ray, and I'm giving you about 60 seconds. That's your book. Rage
of the Risk God,
of the Risk God, which you wrote. And that's a copy of it over there.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing it through. I have a copy in my library. What's the summary, the summation of that book?
The summary is that we woke up one day to see a central bank governor that hit very hard on the financial system, on the banking system, and the repercussions are still there. And I can tell you, 10 years after, if you look at what is happening in the banking industry today, the repercussions of that intervention is still there. Because I call it intervention. Of course, Lamido Sanusi was also calling it intervention initially, because it was just not reforms. It was later
that became a reform.
It became
an intervention. So first it was a discipline.
Yes.
Then you begin to handle it.
Absolutely.
That was $4 billion in 2009. If you add August 13 to October 2nd, those 8 banks, $8 billion US dollars. That's about 730 billion naira.
Yeah.
Where's that money today?
That is a big that's a big question. Where is the money?
2009, we blew 8 billion, sorry, 4 billion US dollars. 4 billion US dollars. If we have that today, we'll be singing different song, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So the banking sector, just to intervene and make sure the system did not collapse in 2009, that was $4 billion.
Yeah. But that's to say the money has disappeared. It's not to say the money has disappeared.
We say the system.
The money is within the system. The loan takers they're richer today than then. Ask them where
I should ask them where the $4 billion. I should ask them. Look, let's hang that in there for the final part of this conversation with my colleagues Simeon and Ray. We'll be right back in 2 minutes, everyone. Stand by.